Hello and welcome to PropTech Buzz. I am Olivia Rizvi, and today we are in conversation with the CEO of Deed, Bashar Khdair. Let's start with the big picture. Dubai's real estate market is booming with luxury apartments, global demand, and strong rental yields. But even with all that hype, entry barriers are sky high. Legal complexity, huge capital requirements, and a lack of trust in remote investing makes it inaccessible for everyday people. Deed is flipping that on its head. It lets anyone invest from just dirham 500, which comes up to $136, with all the back-end property vetting payouts handled for you. So now we're going to ask you your first question, Bashar. From your perspective, what are some of the challenges and barriers in real estate investment today, especially in Dubai, and what inspired you to create a solution like Deed?
Thanks, Olivia. Thanks for having me today. I'm really excited about talking about real estate. And yes, I want to talk about challenges, actually. So real estate today in the traditional model is very challenging for people to get into investment into real estate. Most people think about real estate as if it's a long-term goal or is sometimes just a dream. And the reasons is because it's either if you're buying cash, you have to save lots of money before you can buy your first property, or even if you are getting a loan or a mortgage, you have to save for the first payment or even getting approved by the bank. These in itself, they are really high challenges for many people. The other challenges could be from a barriers perspective is the complexity and the legality surrounding this type of investment. When you are investing in gold, you can just step into a gold shop, buy a bar, and then go home. In real estate, it takes months, weeks, sometimes months of research before you can decide on the right property, the right bank, and analyze the property, why it's good for investment, etc. So lots of complexity around it. When it comes to legality and contracts, some property investment, you might get a contract of hundreds of pages or sometimes 10 of pages that you need to go through and make sure actually you understand it well. And so hence we came up with the actually one more thing I want to mention about the barriers is actually the burden of managing the properties. Managing the property, finding tenants. When you invest in a property, you want to make money out of it at the end of the day. So you will need to find tenants. You will need to make sure you're managing these tenants well, maintaining the property in its right conditions, getting paid for it, etc. So these also, some people see it as a burden, and it's because most of the people, they will try to get into investment, but at the same time, they do have their own lives. They have their families, they have their other jobs as well. What we did to solve this is basically we created Deed as an online solution where we go and source the right properties and find the right opportunities for investment. We present them to our investors for them to choose from these opportunities, and then they can invest from as little as 500 dirhams, as you said. But really, we encourage people, to make this more like a regular investment, make it like a habit. But also they need to understand the risks around this investment, but at the same time, they need to understand the rewards around these investments. So this solution makes it as a paperless. This solution makes it as a paperless experience. So we are 100% technology platform, digital solution, but at the same time, we take the burden of managing the property of the investors. So we manage the transaction from sourcing to exit, A to Z.
That's amazing. So as I said, that this is actually a global problem all over, because even I aim to buy a property at some time, and it's such an expensive process, and all of the things around it are so expensive. Although it's like a great investment to buy a property, it never really depreciates, does it? So my next question being, fractional ownership is well known in other markets, but less so here in Dubai. Why do you think this region's been slower to adopt this?
I would say the adoption was later. I wouldn't call it slow, to be honest. Like if you look at the UK crowdfunding, maybe regulations around 2010. However, I think the first license was issued around 2014 to 2016. And if you consider the DFSA first license was issued around 2017, I wouldn't call that slow, to be honest. And actually, if you look at the brighter side, we actually were from, the region, the UAE and DFSA were from the first countries and cities and regulators to adopt this the type of licenses across the world. Like if you look at other regions, they don't even have this type of licenses yet. So I think UAE and the DFSA were actually more on the proactive and leader side of regulatory rather than on the slow side. But if you ask me, what are the challenges in terms of the this, as you said, like slow, I would say maybe the adoption from the audience. Secondly, is the infrastructure. So technology-wise, you need the technology to help you with this type of model, and technology takes time to build. And also, you need the partners and the providers that you work with also to have solutions that helps you, like the banks, the payment gateways, etc. So I think it's the audience adoption and the infrastructure actually. But today we are in a very good place.
So, what were the toughest early challenges in building Deed, especially with regulation, licensing, and investor trust?
Yeah, thank you for the question, actually, because usually people only look at the bright side. Oh, now the company is live, now the company is regulated, but they don't see what we went through actually to get there. But you were right, actually. Regulation was one of the toughest processes to build Deed, basically. Lots of and it's a good thing actually for investors. When you say investors trust, that's what they need to hear actually, because that's what we had to go through to earn their trust, basically. So the regulator works for the retail investors to make sure they are safe, they make sure they are protected. And in order to achieve that, we had to go through a very comprehensive process that's very detailed, actually, that the regulator would look at every single detail of the platform, of the process we have, the operational model, and everything in between, to make sure we are actually compliant with the regulation, which will eventually lead to protecting the investors' interest.
So, as we are now realizing that it's an investor side issue which is coming up as a challenge. So what mindset shift are you hoping to create in how people view property investing?
I mean, to be honest, again, it's not just about real estate investing. I mean, we were planning to even do education a lot bigger and larger than just real estate investment. Many people think having money saved in an account or even in cash, that means they have money. Yes, they might have money today. However, that money is declining in value because of inflation. However, what we want to do is educate people that actually keeping cash, maybe you can keep cash as an emergency fund for you, like, whatever percentage you decide from your income. However, we encourage people to invest a lot of money in a lot of assets. I'm not just back in real estate, to be honest. Like, real estate is one of them, but there's lots of other assets that people can invest in. So the first thing, we will encourage people to invest in the first place. Secondly, we will educate people about real estate investment. So real estate investment, as you said early on, is one of the safest investments, because real estate usually appreciates in most cases, but it never goes to zero. It could be one of the safest, but if you invest in shares, in stocks, in startups, in other type of assets, cryptocurrencies, you will have exposure to higher risk level rather than in real estate. So basically, it's the education that we will rely on to help people understand the benefit of investing in real estate and the benefits of investing in general as well.
You're actually completely right. But as an investor myself, I personally find property to be an incredible avenue to invest in, because it's just safe. And if you build something on it, it kind of pays for itself, its own maintenance. So that way, I think property is just one of the top forms of investment. But let's unpack how this all works on the Deed platform. So Deed's minimum investment is just 500 dirhams. That's very bold. So why did you choose that starting point, and what impact has it had so far?
Yes, thanks again. So basically, we want to make real estate investment accessible and simplified at the same time. So when we say accessibility, we want to encourage people. Some people might have actually a lot more than 500 dirhams, but they will decide to start with 500 dirhams. And that's fine, because they want to test it first. They want to try how it works. They want to see actually if this is viable option for them. So the 500, people can have 500 dirhams. People can save to have 500 dirhams. If you don't have 500 dirhams, you can save for it in the next, I don't know, month or two. You can have a 500 and you can plan your investment accordingly. So we wanted to have a figure or a number that is actually make real estate investment truly accessible to people. So that's why we came up with the minimum investment amount, basically.
Okay. And when I invest through deed, what exactly am I buying? Are we talking shares in like a special purpose vehicle or tied to a specific property?
Yeah, I mean, the current standard model that is regulated in the FSA allows you to buy, yes, shares in the SPV that actually owns the property. So the process is as follows. We source the property, we make sure the property is the right investment opportunity, we list it on the platform, and then we invite investors to review and analyze and understand this opportunity. And if it's the right opportunity for them, they will invest in it. Once the property is fully funded, then we open an SPV in the IFC, and then that SPV will own the property, and we will be issuing share certificates from the SPV to these investors, each for their own investment amount. And then, yes, we will manage the property on behalf of the investors for the lifetime of the property investment. And then at the end of the transaction, once we find the right price for the property or the right exit strategy, we sell the property on behalf of the investors. After they vote, they decide that, yes, this is the right opportunity. We will sell it on a majority voting mechanism. And then we sell the property. We share the profit back with the investor as well.
That's very interesting. So investors receive monthly rental income plus long-term property appreciation. But what about exits? How do your biannual windows work?
Sorry, can you say that question again?
Sure. So investors receive monthly rental income plus long-term property appreciation. But what about exits? And how do your biannual liquidity windows work?
Yes, so for exit as well, remember, we will encourage people to look at this investment as a long-term investment. To be honest, like, this is not, you can buy share in the morning and sell it in the evening. People who buy into real estate, they need to understand that this is a long-term investment. And the longer you hold a property asset, usually the higher it appreciates and the better return on investment you will have from the property itself. So we always educate and encourage people to hold it for as long as they can. However, yes, you will get circumstances and certain situations where people need their cash or need to exit the properties. With the current model, they will have to wait for after 1 year of their investment date, and then we will allow them for certain windows throughout the year for them to be able to transfer their shares from one investor to another if the other investors are interested in that transfer.
That's amazing. So you've also got investment caps, and it's about $100,000 per year and a 33% on property. Can you explain the thinking behind those limits?
Yes, so these limits are actually being imposed by the regulators, so they are not platform specific. So the regulator decided to put the $100,000 per year. It was actually a $50,000 a year like a year ago. So now it's $100,000 per year, and then the 33%. So yes, there is logic behind it. So the $100,000 per year is because, remember, we are talking about retail investors, and one of the purpose for the regulator is to protect these retail investors from exposing themselves to higher risk by relying on a single kind of asset class, which is the real estate. So they want to make sure the investors that are investing this money, they make sure they diversify and they don't put lots of risk in one place. The other 33% is actually to make sure that the investors not one investor has control over a property or a decision making. Because as I mentioned earlier regarding the exit, for example, when we want an exit property with a profit, for example, we need to ask the investors who invested in that property if they are willing to accept that exit strategy or exit window. So however, for the 33% cap, it's also imposed by the regulator, and that one is actually to make sure that no one single investor has control over the property than the rest of the investors. So as I mentioned earlier, we as a company, we will be searching for an exit strategy for that property that will benefit the investors overall. So we will ask these investors whether they think this opportunity is the right to exit, whether it's the right time, the right value. So we don't want any single investor to influence that decision, and hence there's no one actually owns more than 33% in a single property.
Okay, that's actually very cool. So I was listening very diligently to this. So basically, it's to diversify the portfolio to mitigate losses. And the second reason is to democratize investing, fractional investing. That's actually pretty good. So yeah, that's a pretty good backup plan. So my next question would then be, what are people saying so far? Have the reviews and early investor feedback matched your expectations?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, we did have some public events that I did participated in, and we spoke with lots of potential real estate agents and also retail investors, and we talked about Deed at length with them. Locally and internationally, actually, and there's lots of interest today in this type of model and the fractionalized real estate investment. So yes, there is a huge interest in the market today, and lots of people are appreciating this model.
Deed is currently Dubai focused, but the vision feels global. So what's next? Expansion into other Gulf cities or beyond the Middle East entirely?
Yes, I mean, at the moment we want to focus on Dubai. Just make sure the model actually works in Dubai. We want to make sure the investors are happy with the options we're selecting for them. The technology is the right technology for the investors. But yes, in terms of global expansion, it's always on the radar. Saudi is definitely an upcoming booming market in real estate. Global as well, but as I said earlier, when it comes to global investment, it's actually, or a global adoption of this crowdfunding model or the real estate investment fractionalized, it comes back to regulations. So you want to be in a different city or in a different country, but at the end of the day, it's whether this city has a regulation that will allow you to participate in this model in that city or country. So regulations comes first, but also we want to make sure that actually we respond to the investors what they want eventually. We don't want to go to a city because it sounds nice, well, it doesn't actually give lots of return on their investment. So we want to listen to the investors. Where do they want us to go next? And then we will try and do that.
That's actually excellent. And even at your pricing, I think y'all are also aiming for a younger demographic to come in. Like somebody like even me can probably invest in a property, which is actually pretty incredible. All right. So, all right. To wrap up, let's hit a quick lightning round. Okay. So if someone's listening right now and wants to get started, what's the easiest way to invest in Deed today?
First thing to do is go to our website, startdeed.com. And then on the website, they will be able to see opportunities available to investment. And then they can choose the right opportunity for themselves and invest from as little as 500 dirham. And then just let us do the rest for them, and they can sit back and enjoy their returns.
Okay, that's incredible. Very easy. So what's one tip you'd give to other founders entering regulated spaces like fintech or proptech?
Oh my God, that's not easy. It's not easy. They have to be patient. They have to be very, very well prepared. And they also needs to be, they have enough funding and ready for the journey.
Okay, and just one last question from my end. So is Deed looking for a long-term niche platform just for Dubai, or do you want it to become a global powerhouse?
Definitely we want Deed to become a powerhouse. We want Deed to become the go-to real estate investment platform for investors, from small investors to large investors. So we want, when people think about real estate investment, to think Deed.
That's insane. So I really enjoyed this interview. That's pretty incredible. And thank you for taking the time to speaking to us today. And that's all for today's episode. Massive thanks to Bashar for joining us. Deed isn't just making real estate more accessible, it's redefining what ownership can look like in a digital global economy. If you're curious to learn more, visit www.startdeed.com, and don't forget to follow PropTech Buzz for more conversations with innovators shaping the future of property and technology. Until next time, stay curious and keep building. Thank you.
Thank you, Olivia.